so far, obviously Texas 5-0, not a lot to be angry about, guys. Texas, again, 5-0, beats Mississippi State 35-13. Let's jump into some of the good that I saw. Arch Manning, phenomenal. His best game by far as a college player. 26 of 31, 324 yards and 2 touchdowns. And you saw the jump from his first start versus Louisiana Monroe to his second start with Mississippi State. He was more decisive of where he wanted to go with the football. His deep ball accuracy was better. And then when the deep ball wasn't there, he didn't force it. And the Louisiana Monroe game, guys, to me, he refused to check down. His check down was the deep ball. He decided, you know what, if it's not there, I'm going to trust my guy to go out and make a play. And that's kind of a freshman or young guy thing to do. And you saw him do that in the Louisiana Monroe game. You did not see that this game. If the deep ball was there, he took it. If it wasn't, he hit the intermediate and short passes. So I was confident in that. I like to see that. You saw his athleticism with getting out of the pocket again, making that beautiful run down the sideline, almost scored a touchdown. I honestly think for the effort, they should have given it to him. And I think Mississippi State kind of got tricked there because if you look, a lot of their players slowed up and thought, oh, this guy's going to slide. And he didn't slide. He kind of gave him the okey doke, ran down the sideline, almost scored. I thought he scored on his first sneak. Apparently he didn't. And Sark also talked about that. And I think it's smart. I've never heard about this, but it makes sense and it's very smart. Stay down. Just lay there. And Arch got up too quickly, and then the referee couldn't come in and spot the ball and say, hey, that's a touchdown, actually. And they were like, okay, well, he got up. We don't know where it was. Got to go again. And then the next time he scored, it was pretty obvious he scored on that one. And so 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. And Arch Manning was actually the highest pro football focus graded quarterback on the week. 94.2. That's a hell of a grade there for Pro Football Focus. Ahead of Jalen Milroe, who had himself a game too. He could have been a Texas quarterback, which is crazy to say as well. Trey Wisner had his best game this year, 13 carries for 88 yards, 6.8 yards per carry. And I think he opened up a can of controversy here because, let's be honest here, Jaden Blue had a terrible game. He had a terrible game. He only had 6 carries for 36 yards. He had 2 fumbles, both of them lost, and he really didn't see any time after that. And it's going to be interesting how they go forward with this running back room. Obviously, you lose Cedric Baxter. You have Jarrett Gibson, the freshman, who I don't think played that much because he had an ankle injury coming into the week. So I'm not surprised by that. Trey Wisner was also coming back from an injury, played pretty well. Jaden Blue did not. We still don't know who the number 1 running back on the team is, and that's my biggest concern going forward, and we'll jump into that later in the show as well. And it kind of proves the point of we need someone to step up in this room and play better than they have. We only have one guy averaging 5 yards per carry right now, and that's Trey Wisner. Jaden Blue is not doing that. And, guys, the competition is only going to get better. Like I said, is there anyone left on the schedule that if that's going to be worse than the teams we've previously played other than Michigan? No. Vanderbilt's better than everyone we've played other than Michigan. Florida's better than everyone we played other than Michigan. They're bad. Kentucky's definitely better than everyone we played, and they might even be better than Michigan. Oklahoma's better than anyone we played at the Michigan. Georgia, obviously. I mean, it's going to be harder, and we're going to have to find that number 1 guy. Right now, we don't have that number 1 guy at the running back position. We're going to have to figure that out. I will say it was nice to see DeAndre Moore get, really involved in this offense. He had been kind of quiet up until this point. He had a catcher here and there, but 4 catches for him for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. I really like when this guy gets involved because he brings a physicality and toughness in the blocking game, and I like to see him get rewarded through the air. He's basically a clone of Jordan Whittington, and that's kind of who he copies his game off of. He's talked about that. I want to be physical. I want to bring the attack to the other team. He's got sure hands. I don't think he's dropped a pass so far this year. He's been really good for us. I've been thoroughly impressed. He's done really well in the slot, and I think you're going to continue to see him make plays. 2 touchdowns from him, so glad for him. And then Isaiah Bond, 5 receptions for 74 yards, 14.8 yards per catch. He didn't have a touchdown this week. Or did he? Didn't he have a rushing touchdown? I believe he did. I don't remember. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't write that down. But it's so fun to watch him run. I don't know if he's faster than Xavier Worthy. He might be at the combine. That's going to be very interesting to see. But he has a different stride than Xavier Worthy. To me, Xavier Worthy, you could tell he had to put some effort into running. Isaiah Bond just glides. It's so fun to watch him run. He truly is like a track star, just effortless, and a really good track star, honestly. Matthew Golden, 5 receptions, 52 yards. As I said, going into the season, this guy's just Mr. Reliable. He does everything you need him to. He's not great at anything, but he's good at everything. He's a good route runner, good hands, good blocker. He's healthy. He's just a good football player, and I'm really excited that he's on our team. Defensively, David Ben had 8 tackles, Jalen Gilbo had 8 tackles, and Colin Simmons 6 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 sacks, 6 sacks and 9 tackles for loss for the defense in total. That's a really good day at the office for the defense at getting to the quarterback. We kind of struggle up until the last couple of games of getting after the quarterback. These guys are finally getting into that midseason form as we reach midseason. So makes sense. Colin Simmons, like I said a couple weeks ago, has to get more playing time, and you've seen that. This team has gotten he's gotten a lot more playing time, and it's paid off. The guy has 4 sacks. I think there's a real chance he ends up with 10 sacks, and it's been a very long time since a Texas Longhorn in the freshman season had 10 sacks. The get off the ball, the bend off the edge. He does need to work on some moves, guys, because you have to have a counter. Right now, it's a lot of speed rush. There's very little bull rush there. That's one thing he should work on, and he will work on. He's got 2 more years at the 40 acres to work on it. I would also like to see a spin move at some point. I think that would really help him out. His hand placement's pretty good. It's not great yet. It's not elite, but he's there athletically and physically. He's so gifted, guys. It's like Dylan Stewart at South Carolina. Those guys don't really know what they're doing, but they're so damn good. It's like, hey, go get the football. And they just go get the football. It's kind of like Anthony Hill was last year. Like, they're just athletic freaks who are still kind of learning the game. And that will come slowly and steadily for Colin Simmons. He's a stud. It's been really fun to watch him. And it was pretty obvious what Mississippi State wanted to do in this game. We kind of talked about it pregame. Does Mississippi State actually want to play football and compete in this game? Or do they want to play keep away and just tuck their tail in and go home with little to no injuries? That's what they did. They decided to play keep away. It was basically 35 minutes time of possession to 25 minutes for Texas. And Jeff Lebby decided, we'll go tempo on certain situations on 3rd and short and 4th and short to catch him off guard so we can get a quick first down. But other than that, he did not use tempo. I actually thought, honestly, you weren't going to win this game, so it was kind of a good game plan and really smart for Jeff Lebby. I've been harsh on him. I don't think he's a very good coach or an offensive mind, but I was very impressed. I thought that was a very smart thing to do, like you saw in the opening possession. You saw 4th down, their side of the field. Let's hurry up to the line, call a quick play, and it caught us off guard kind of, and they got the first down, were able to keep the ball, and they just wanted to play keep away in this game. And it was smart because I think if Texas got the normal amount of possessions that they usually do, which is like 12 to 14 a game, Texas probably would have put up 50-plus points. Are there things to work on? Absolutely, and we'll get into that in a second. But overall, my only concerns going forward are the running game for Texas and stopping the run for Texas. Those are my 2 biggest concerns. It's definitely what we need to work on. And we will talk about that, especially the running game. It's actually my number 1 concern now after taking some look at the stats. Again, guys, I'm comparing this to a national championship team. People wanted to come at me in the comments for the post-game show and said, you're being emotional, da-da-da-da-da. My points have not changed. Has my emotion level simmered down? Of course it has. That was right after the game. I'm going to be at my most emotional state. But the message still hasn't changed. And I think, no offense, some of you guys need to realize, like, I'm not going to pump sunshine here. If you want that, you can go somewhere else to find it. Do I like having you guys here to interact? Absolutely do. I like and subscribe. But I'm here to give you facts and reality. And right now, we do not run the ball well enough to win a national championship. We actually do stop it well enough. We will get into that. But guys, I'm just saying, don't pay attention to my emotions. Pay attention to my message, because my message is still the same, and it was a correct message, and I'm going to prove that to you. Now, I need to start using this because I pay for it. Pro Football Focus grades, the top 10 highest pay or graded players for Texas. Trey Weiser at number 10. I think that's just another feather in the cap of what I said afterwards in the show. I think Texas should look into giving him more carries. I think, honestly, he should get the majority of the carries. Right now, guys, in Jaden Blue's career, he fumbles every 38 snaps. That means starting running back usually in college football gets between 200 to 250 carries, or 200 to 250 touches at least. That means he would fumble like 7 times. That is unacceptable to fumble 7 times in a season. And obviously with the extended season, it might be about 8. So 8 times in a season, that's once every other game. That's unacceptable. It cannot happen. And I don't see it getting that much better. So it's just like interceptions for a quarterback. Do I think get a little bit better with some guys? Yes. With most guys, it just doesn't. So unless Jaden Blue miraculously overnight gets better at handling the football while he has it, he's probably going to have fumbling issues, and it's Sark's job to keep him out of those situations. So you might have to start limiting touches. You might have to throw it to him more than you run with him. I think he's honestly more of a Donovan Edwards than he is a Blake Corum, which makes sense. And I think you're going to have to use him in that way. Number 9, DeAndre Moore. Again, fantastic game for him. 73.3 grade. It's one of his highest, if not the highest of the season. Isaiah Bond at the wide receiver position had a 74. Jalen Gilbo, 73.3. Brother, you have been fantastic this year. You have stayed healthy. When Mark asked me who I thought was going to be like one or two players that would step up for Texas and be household names, I said Jalen Gilbo and Gunnar Helm at the beginning of the season. I'd say I'm 2 for 2. Jalen Gilbo's been phenomenal. Gunnar Helm, when Quinn Ewers was healthy, was phenomenal. Arch and him just don't have the same connection. When Quinn comes back, Gunnar Helm's numbers will keep on coming in. Number 6, and it stood out when I watched it the second time, Jermaine Lolay had his best game by far as a Texas Longhorn. He looked healthy. He looked explosive. He was shedding blocks rather easily. It was really exciting to see him play good football. He had a 74.4 grade. Number 5 was Andrew Makuba, 81.5, stud. Stud. He's always around the football. He's always making plays around the football. He's done a phenomenal job here at Texas. I'm really happy to have Andrew Makuba in the secondary. Number 4 is Kelvin Banks, an 81.7 grade for him. Was our best offensive lineman. That was pretty obvious to see. He didn't make no mistakes, didn't have any penalties called on him, whereas everyone else on the offensive line did. Makes sense. I'm trying to think the last time he had a bad game. I was thinking about that today. I think the last time Kelvin Banks just had an straight up awful game was Oklahoma State his freshman year. I can't really think of any other games that stand out to mind. That honestly might be his only truly bad game. And by the way, the whole offensive line was bad that day, but he was particularly bad 2 years ago. Number 3 is Colin Simmons, 85.6. He was the highest rated linebacker in the SEC, linebacker edge. I forget what they had him listed as. Stud. He's what Anthony Hill was last year for us. He's been phenomenal. I think he's going to end up with at least 8 sacks. And we haven't had a guy with 8 sacks around here in a long time. Joseph Osai didn't even have 8 sacks, guys. So that gives you a little bit perspective there. Number 3. That was number 3. Number 2, Vernon Broughton. Another great game for him. He has stepped up. He has elevated his draft stock. Actually gotten draft stock now, because before the season, I think Vernon Broughton was probably a 7th-round pick or undrafted guy. I think he's a 5th-round pick now. I think that's where he's probably going to end up going, which is phenomenal for you, brother. Congratulations on the marriage, by the way. I forgot to say that a long time ago. He's been married for about 3 or 4 months now, so congratulations on that. And then also Arch Manning, 94.2 grade, highest rated quarterback in the country. Phenomenal game. This is the game to me. If you could promise me, obviously, if you could promise me this type of game from Arch going forward, fine. He's better than Quinn. But the issue is I don't see that happening. What you're going to see is just what you saw with when Quinn was coming up. Inconsistent play from week to week. I know what Quinn is. Quinn is a B-plus guy. I think Arch has a higher ceiling, for sure. I've said that. I said he was a top 15 quarterback a month ago in college football. But he's not the starter. He shouldn't be the starter. I will say he does provide something in the running game, and that is our weakness. So that would be your one argument if you did have it, is his athleticism and run game. But let's be honest here, Sark doesn't want to do that anyway, so it really doesn't work out in this type of offense.